KTN News.
All right, and now let us get to the segment of what's trending. With me, I'm joined by Ray from the digital desk. Ray, good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Grace. How are you?
I'm good as well.
First time on set together.
First time on set. I hope it will be smooth. Now, of course, there's. Let us start with yesterday in the Nairobi Infernos. Quite a bit of that. We have the Kitengela fire. We also have the roundabout at the Jogoo Road fire. Perhaps you can talk to us about what are leaders saying about it. How is the interwebs talking about it?
So yesterday there was 2 fires reported. That was in Kitengela along the Nairobi Namanga Road, and that's Jogoo Road, right at the roundabout around Joakali area. There's usually a lot of metalworks around this area, and there was a huge fire. In fact, one of how I got to know of this story is when someone called me and asked me, have you seen what's happening in town? There's huge smoke. So when I got back on the desk, I was informed of this fire. But online, apparently people had already been circulating videos of the fire and how it was raising down stalls and businesses. There's not been reported any casualties yet, and people have put to task the preparedness and the response to emergency by the Nairobi City County. Of course, this being around the fires and other disasters. There's been issues of floods before, but this particular one, people took interest because it raised down millions in worth of property and businesses. But the fire was later quelled, and I think now traders are now counting losses. Online, everybody is really talking about the disaster preparedness and response.
So any leaders, what have they said about that particular incident?
Not really. None have come out yet. We'll be looking for that, looking forward to that rather later during the day. And we will definitely have it on our social media.
All right. Now let us also talk about Ruto in Italy, where he attended a summit of the Ruto and Italy and Africa summit. Of course, it has received criticism from different persons or different personnel. Tell us about that as well.
So President William Ruto's attendance at the Italy-Africa Summit, actually, Grace, was not even, people did not even focus on what he talked about. People were focusing on the fact that he had earlier dismissed the fact that heads of state are summoned by one single country to attend a summit that is about the particular countries. And he had been on record saying that he did not regard this as important, and he would instead be sending African Union representatives. But then, now he seemed to have gone back on his word. And some people who took issue with this were including CNN journalist Larry Madowo, who's also ex-KTN as well. And he also held President William Ruto to task about these statements. And he was also trending the whole day as well about that in an exchange with President Ruto's head of press secretary, Emmanuel Talam, just around this whole issue. But Kenyans are also picking issue with this, asking really, was it necessary for him to attend? You remember, Grace, not all the heads of state were in attendance, especially from East Africa. I think he was the only one who was representing this particular region. So people were picking issue with this one. And that particular video of him saying that it was not necessary was really circulating yesterday, and it is still circulating up to now.
All right, so the bashing is real in the interwebs.
Kenyans on Twitter are the most brutal force. They have no weapons, but they're most brutal.
All right.
Keyboard warriors.
Okay, right. Now let us talk about CBD. It's busy. When we're walking through the CBD, you're seeing that there's so much going on there.
Yes.
The governor, that is Johnson Sakaja, of course, is delving into the pavements and all that. So you can also talk to us about that.
So the county government of Nairobi is rehabilitating the dilapidated roads and walkways in the city, which is in response to complaints about potholes and then drainage as well. So the renovation exercise basically includes recarpeting roads and pavements to improve the movement of motorists and pedestrians and reduce time. The most controversial issue about this one online was the fact that people didn't actually know that these are walkways, because what you see is people, hawkers, selling their wares morning to evening, night to day on these particular walkways. So when they were asked to step aside for the county to renovate these walkways, people were so surprised by the fact that these are actually places for people to walk and not people to sell. But we wait and see how that goes, because there's been a couple of plans here and there to try and rehabilitate the CBD. There's also people online who are calling for the governor to focus on other areas as well, such as Donholm, Umoja, and other areas, just around the cleaning up the city in totality, as opposed to the CBD alone. Yeah.
So what you're saying, people are interested in such a project in also other parts, not just the CBD.
Oh yes, oh yes. People are very, very interested. In fact, the comment section on that particular post by the city, county, and the governor as well has really a lot to say. You can go and check it out online as well. Yeah.
All right, now let us talk about femicide and nominated member of parliament, that is Sabina Chege. Of course, last week there was a march in protest of the increased number of females that have been attacked, right? Or the femicide issue in the country. She's also getting a bit of the rough on the edge when it comes to the interwebs and socials. Is it because of the timing that she's now speaking about it? Was she even part of the march, by the way, let me ask? That happened last weekend.
I only saw the Nairobi County Women Rep, Esther Passaris, being part of that march. But nominated MP Sabina Chege was, like you said, she was receiving the wrath on Twitter because she came out and said that girls need to work hard and attain financial independence and avoid falling victim to femicide. She's not the first leader who has said that, by the way. I spoke last week, last week I spoke to SG Malala, the UDA Secretary General, and he had the same to say, and it's on record on our social media, that girls should also seek financial independence. But I think for her it was about the timing. But Kenyans on Twitter, like I said, Grace, Kenyans on Twitter are very ruthless. They will tear you down. And for this particular one, she emphasized the importance of women laying their own foundation without relying on men, which is something that has been echoed by leaders across board and you know, other people who are not really in the public domain. But this one got people talking. There's 50-50 on this one. There's one side of the divide that feels that the victims should not be blamed, and there's another side of the divide that echoes the statements of the nominated MP Sabina Chege. But there's a lot of talk about this. You know, it has become a big issue right now. There's been nearly a death reported every day of a woman maybe brutally murdered and dumped somewhere. It's really tragic, and we hope to see more leaders coming up about this, and maybe some plans put in place. I've seen Dr. Raymond Omolo, the PS for Interior, sitting down with stakeholders in various areas to try and see how they can resolve this. Yeah.
So according to you, Ray, before we wrap up, right, do you think women being financially independent will help them in regards to such incidences? Like, you don't have to depend on somebody to do ABZ for you and something like that. Do you think that's the key thing that women should start embracing now?
You've put me in the front line. I'll be basically my job is about social media, so I'll be on the wrath as well. But I think basically financial independence is critical for anybody, woman or man, and femicide or not. Financial independence is good. I think it's really good for anybody who's wants to live a good life beyond femicide, I mean. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ray. That was Ray from our digital desk, of course, telling us what is happening on the interwebs. Here on KTN News Diary, we take a very short commercial